What Are You Doing? Episode 3, Rapid Fire Interview with Derek Vollmer. Droplet Water Project is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to improving the global effort to provide access to clean drinking water. Droplet Water Project is excited to share a new video series segment with Derek Vollmer. The purpose of our new video series is to educate people about various topics related to water crisis, water purification, and overall environmental sustainability, and to interviewing experts in their respective fields. We are ecstatic to share our third episode with Derek Vollmer, Senior Director for Freshwater Science for Conservation International. It's nice to meet you, but before we begin this interview, could you please give me your name, your title, and where you work?
My name is Derek Vollmer. I'm the Senior Director for Freshwater Science at Conservation International.
Awesome. And why did you enter this field?
So I entered this field because I like working on complex problems. And water resource management has no shortage of complex problems. It's also offers a lot of opportunities to do what I call integrative science, where I can work with hydrologists, civil engineers, ecologists, policy specialists.
Yeah, awesome. And with your job and your current position, what challenges do you face?
So there are a lot of kind of practical challenges, but I think a general issue that I face, or that we as a team face too, would be short-sighted and narrow thinking. The water challenges that we're trying to address are, like I said, complex, and still a lot of decision makers and donors, even the media, tend to gravitate towards solutions that can fit neatly into a soundbite or can be explained in a tweet, something that's a win-win-win or a silver bullet. But lasting solutions to complex problems are always going to require interventions at multiple scales, a blend of policy, science, technology, sustainable financing, and often a lot of engagement with different stakeholders. And that all takes time. It's never going to be simplistic, and it doesn't do anyone any good to try and reduce things down to something that sounds simple when it's not.
Yeah, absolutely. And you wrote in a recent article, which I will make sure to attach below after this interview. It talked a lot about watersheds and about the problem, but also as well was about water crisis. So what is your opinion about water crisis, if you could explain that?
Yes, so the recent paper, which was titled, shorthand is H2O does not equal CO2. It was really drawing comparisons between how we think and talk about the current climate crisis and the global water crisis. And while they're, arguably the two most important environmental issues that we're facing in this generation, we have to think about them very differently because they're quite distinct. So the main takeaways from that and my thinking on the water crisis is that it doesn't make sense to try and compare them or to use approaches from climate change mitigation to address water crises, because water issues and their solutions are almost always going to be primarily local. So in reality, when we talk about a global water crisis, it's really kind of a mosaic of local and regional crises all over the globe. So still globally significant, but they always have a sort of local dimensions to them. There are going to be different drivers from place to place. And a lot of times these crises, they're being undermined by weak water governance. So it's not, again, simple solutions such as reducing water consumption or increasing access. There are a lot of things at play that create these crises around the world.
Definitely. And then with that in mind, how is your company helping fix that issue, and how are you helping with that as well?
Sure. So we are a global organization. We have field offices in over 30 countries, but our work is often very grounded in the realities of the communities in these different countries. And so on water issues, we tackle the crises watershed by watershed, place by place. We focus on working with a broad range of stakeholders in those places, so both government at different levels, local, national, regional, and non-government actors, local NGOs, companies. And we work on aligning them around a concept that we call freshwater health. So in other words, how can they ensure that they're getting the benefits that they need from their watersheds without compromising the ecology, the biodiversity, basically the functioning of the river and lake systems where they're living and operating, because they depend on those healthy watersheds. And so again, it's not as simple as reducing some consumption. There are a lot of things we have to look at to help them understand what's it going to take to get this river to a healthy level, but meaning that it's also providing the water needed for different uses, and also supporting biodiversity and the wildlife that people value there.
Yeah, I appreciate your guys' job, because that is definitely complex, and you're doing a great job. And as with that as well, there's a lot of other sustainability issues that's going around in the world. So in your eyes, like, what do you see besides the water insecurities and with you see every day? What other sustainability issues that are at large and is a big issue?
So the big thing on my mind right now, and it's definitely present in water challenges, but it cuts across the board for sustainability, is the idea of equity. Water illustrates that very well because the physical freshwater resources are not equally distributed around the planet, right? There are places that are very arid, and so water is already very scarce. But even in places where water is more abundant, often there's inequitable distribution, whether that's among sectors or among parts of society in a particular city or village. And equity is an issue across sustainability topics. So if we just think about the amount of consumption that takes place in developed countries, and this is what's contributing to the climate crisis, that some of us, including myself, have historically consumed so much energy and generated so many carbon CO2 emissions. And the rest of the world wants to catch up, wants to be able to consume more. So we have to find a sort of balance, and there has to be a give and take ultimately on a lot of these issues within sustainability. So it's, again, not finding the silver bullets, it's really understanding and managing the trade-offs, and that will in some cases mean that some of us have to scale back our consumption, scale back our activities, and allow other people to thrive, but keeping the balance of the planet's ecosystems okay.
Yeah, definitely. And you said that perfectly, with what's going on. And then this is kind of like a really big question to ask. It's about the future of sustainability, whether that's positive or negative. What do you see happening with, sustainability, our water crisis? What do you see happening?
So I remain optimistic. Otherwise, I probably would have exited this field a long time ago. But I see a lot of reasons for optimism. The first one is that sustainability is no longer just a buzzword or a niche topic. It's something that I think many people can grasp, are comfortable talking about, and recognize that it's the direction we need to be moving. We see a lot more students who are pursuing that as part of their degrees. You hear it worked into the curriculum in elementary schools. And so there's just a lot more recognition that this is not just about being a tree hugger or doing something good for the planet. This is about sustaining our way of life, sustaining our planet. And it's going to be hard to get there, but we tend to be confident that we will find solutions. So I am optimistic. Like I said, it will require some difficult choices and trade-offs. But again, I think more people are ready to embrace that, ready to modify their consumption patterns, stop waiting on silver bullet technologies to allow them to keep consuming and behaving as they have, finding ways that they can still lead a fulfilling life without too much environmentally degrading behaviors. On water, I believe we have all the technologies, we have all the practices. It's going to be a matter of figuring out how to get people to work together in these different places and to put the pieces together. And likewise, there will be some difficult trade-offs at times, but I really do feel that we have all the tools to do it. It's a matter now of really committing to understanding what the limits are, setting those limits and enforcing them in different places, whether it's about the amount of water being consumed, the level of pollutants that will be tolerated, and also what the goals are for healthy rivers and lakes.
Yeah, that's a great answer as well. Good job. And then, a big thing that a lot of people look at these videos are people who kind of want to be more aware about what's going on around the world, but they still need a lot of help with understanding how they could make an impact. So what would you say for those people who are just starting to try help in their own neighborhoods? How could they help with what's going on with climate change, water security, and just kind of helping the best they can?
So I'll start with water because I do like to advise people that they can start in their own backyard because water issues are local. First thing is to find out and understand where your water comes from. We like to say water doesn't come from the tap, it comes from an ecosystem somewhere. And so know where your water source is, what reservoir or river or lake system is providing that water before it goes to a treatment plant and into your pipes. Know where your wastewater goes, and if you've got a yard where the stormwater drains off to, because it's all connected. And the little things that you do, like having rain barrels and rain gardens, having water saving devices, in your home, they do all have an impact within your watershed. And then related to that is to just understand that your actions aren't necessarily going to have any kind of impact elsewhere in the globe, but that's okay. Focus on protecting your watershed and you're doing a good thing. Mm-hmm. With other topics in sustainability, like climate change, you are benefiting the globe when you can find ways to reduce your carbon footprint. And there are so many options out there. You can purchase renewable energy through many of the energy providers give you that option to purchase renewable energy. I drive an electric car. They're becoming more affordable, more widely available, and that's been great. It's been fun, and finding ways to consume less, to still lead a fulfilling life, but not have to buy lots of stuff or search for more environmentally friendly options of the things that you typically consume. Again, there's lots out there in the marketplace now, and it doesn't have to cost a lot more. It doesn't have to cost more at all. It's just about shifting behaviors, and everyone can do it. It takes a little effort at first, but it's rewarding.
Yes, definitely. And I'm someone who I love to make sure that I'm making a good impact. And one of the biggest things that I've learned, and to help our audience as well, is with clothing. So when you buy clothes, certain clothes, they produce a lot of water. So when you thrift or you buy secondhand, it saves the amount of water. But besides that, kind of end this interview. What is it going to be like in 5 years when it comes to your company and what you're doing, and what are your goals for the next 5 years?
So we have a number of longer term goals that we're setting, and much of it comes down to, at least with the water work, supporting sustainable landscapes where we're operating. And for us, that means in the places where we have our field operations, where we've been working with communities and industries, we want to, within 5 years or so, be able to measure and communicate that we've had an impact on a landscape scale. So that means ideally we want to say, look, all of the inputs that we have in this place are not degrading the ecosystem, that we're confident that we're able to be improving livelihoods. So the farmers, the fishers, other people who are dependent on natural resources are gaining the income that they need. able to sort of work with the resources they have without degrading them, and that we're having what we say is a planet positive impact. And so we're working more on restoring parts of the landscape that have become degraded. So not only protecting, but also restoring, and then finding ways where we are producing, whether it's tree crops or other commodities, make sure that the impacts there are manageable. So we're monitoring biodiversity. We don't want to have any negative impact on the plants and animals that are in those landscapes. And so that requires changes in practices. It requires scaling back production sometimes. But we are confident that we'll be able to document and share those kinds of experiences. And the key is to do it at a scale where we can say, yes, this works at a large scale, that this is not just a lucky little community project, that this is happening over entire watersheds. And so we have several of these landscapes where we're working around the world, and that's going to be a major focus of ours, a focus for my team on freshwater over the next 5 years, is helping to demonstrate and document that we can really have these practices work at a full landscape and watershed scale.
Well, thank you so much for being here at the interview today. I know everything that you said was, awesome and amazing, and I hope our audience can take something away from it. But thank you so much, and I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you, Jenna.
Thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Follow us on our social media pages and stay on the lookout for more videos in the upcoming week.